This is TWiT.
Google wants to build a new village. Would you like to live in Google Town?
Yo, I want to live in Google Island, remember? We were going to move there.
No, because I don't want to stay in my RV 24/7.
This is actually I think is specifically...
And excuse me, it's not an RV, it's a tiny house.
Tiny house.
And then everything's okay.
Oh,
This is specifically so
There's
Google
no wheels
employees
on it.
will stop living in the parking lot. They want to build a village next to their campus and other Mountain View tech hubs. It'll be called Middlefield Park. There you
I
go.
thought it was going to be called Middle Earth.
Middle Earth. Look,
been so
look,
perfect,
look!
right?
Little black children and little white children playing together in the water coming out of the ground. Oh, well, wait a minute. There's also
That's how they're taking showers because nobody can afford to have a home with a shower.
Here's the cafe.
in Mountain View.
Here, that's Ellis Plaza.
That's a self-driving bus in the background, you think?
No, that's the light rail. That already exists.
Oh, it is. Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
It would dramatically resculpt a large area now dominated by old tech buildings and huge parking lots. That is a really ugly area.
Yeah, they
are. So those tilt-ups and everything, right? It's 1,600 homes between East Middlefield Road. That's where the name comes from. And State Route 237. I know exactly where that is. Middlefield Park near Middlefield Road is new housing. In fact, both Apple and Google have both pledged hundreds of millions of dollars to fix the housing problem in Silicon Valley.
And Facebook, too. I think all three.
Yeah, because nobody can afford to live there. And they can't. It's hard to attract employees. Now, I think one solution is to say, well, you don't have to. I suspect that's going to be a big part of the post-COVID world is people working from off-site.
Yep. Way off-site, like different cities.
From there, yeah. Google's development, 37% open space, 30% office space, 24% residential, only 6% parking, 2% retail, and 1% civic uses. It's an interesting idea. Apparently, Mountain View wants to do it.
The housing crisis is so awful.
Yeah.
Would the tax base for this be better than those office buildings?
If the office buildings are vacant, yes. And I suspect this is, at least at this time, this is probably a concern.
Would Google act as the landlord, or are they just trying to get that? Are they underwriting? Like, what role does Google have in this other than pushing it?
That's a good question. I'm reading through this.
Yeah, I'm trying to understand if this is going to be strictly a Google property for Google employees and guests, or is this
not? No, I don't think so.
No,
because nobody wants any. We don't want company towns coming back. I'm sorry.
Oh, my soul to the company store. Yeah, I think Google does own this. Is building this. Maybe they even already own the.
They were buying up a lot of property,
land.
right?
Yeah. 12 acres of open space, which is pretty nice.
This is where they can put their smart cities thing, and we can go and marvel at
That's true.
Utopia, dystopian future.
Take that, Toronto.
Well, it's funny because I talked to a lot of tech industry utopians who have this vision of smart cities or smart villages or smart apartment buildings. This is a very common fantasy in the Silicon Valley world. There's somebody's doing this in Vegas.
Leo, you're talking to the expert in it right there.
Who's that?
Stacey.
Are you the expert?
IoT.
Well, she's smart homes. You say,
are we talking about smart
utopians
cities?
who want smart homes.
Cities.
Nobody has a smarter home than Stacey. Well, she would take over the I'm sure Seattle if she could, but she starts with her own base. Nobody has a smarter home than Stacey Higginbotham.
It's actually not true right now. But
Yeah.
I appreciate that you.
I heard she
get
doesn't
that
even have
five
windows.
Come on.
I heard there's no windows in her house. That's what I heard.
These are the new ones.
Not yet. So this is interesting. I don't think it's been approved by the Mountain View City Council yet, but they love these guys. So
yeah.
But it's unclear. Like, is Google going to own? If Google owns the land, are they going to pay to develop the housing, Or are they going to work
There's
with
a
the developer?
Canadian developer.
And then do they get
I'm sorry, Australian developer that they're working with. Lend Lease, a developer with global scope.
Oh, yeah. Lend-Lease is big. They're huge. And they've worked with Google on some other things. Okay, so they're working with them. They're going to build the houses. Do people buy the houses or do people rent the houses?
Don't know.
I imagine that there'll also be a little bit of give and take with the city council. You know, usually what happens with city governments, they say, okay, we want 23% to be low-income housing, which, we want a certain amount to be for sale. We want a certain amount to be rent. I mean, I suspect that all of that is still to TBD. But I think this is very interesting. But it is it is a little bit of company town, though, isn't it? Really? I mean, that's kind of interesting. It's a very Larry Page idea.
Well, yeah, like, is it something like, do you have to work at Google to be able to live there?
I don't know.
And if you do work there, what happens when you get fired?
Right.
I mean, we already tie our health insurance to our employment. Do we want to tie our living arrangements?
Hey, I like it. Why not cradle to grave Google Town?
I'm there. I'm there.
You already live there, Jeff. But what about that? What about that? What if you, as a young family, could move to cradle to grave Google Town, and Google takes care of you? Google basically runs the local government because they're smarter than the average bear, and they use data, and the traffic lights are always just right, and there's always exactly the right amount of pizza available, and all of that.
Man, paint the picture.
You got me there. You got me a picture.
Yeah, there's gummy bears in every department. You know, just what if and then
Stacey,
and then a guaranteed pension when you hit 65 and a half. You get Google retired.
Oh, and the death benefits at Google are amazing.
Are they?
Oh yeah, yeah. Your family is really taken care of. You got.
And then the funny thing is, you move in, and 4 years later, Google closes it down.
Right. In typical Google fashion.
Sorry, we're gonna tear it all down.
Yeah. Cradle to grave, not exactly.
It's not received. We're not getting the data.
Stacey,
yeah, right. Cradle to third grade. That's all we can do.
Mountain View Voice says it is a mix of rental and for sale housing units, predominantly in the form of stacked flats that can maximize the number of residential units in the area. Would include 20% affordable housing units. God knows how you define affordable in the valley.
Yeah.
Depending upon how many units are built. Would create 335 to 370 deed restricted units for low income housing.
I like that idea that all of that is mixed in, but I have concerns on a personal level as far as if I was working for Google or whatever, like full-time employee at Google, I don't know if I necessarily want to live that close to work. It's just personally, I need a little bit more separation. And, like where I live now here in Northern California, I'm just enough to be far away from the studio to feel that I'm not at work, and it's comfortable that way. I've had people in my past at previous employers where they lived around the block and their phone always rang, and they were always at the office. And I never thought that was healthy, nor did I think it was fair to them as an employee.
But on the other hand, Ant, having had until March an hour and 45-minute each way commute, being near work sounds like heaven to me. And that's why I'm kind of enjoying
my... And then I did have some scenarios where I used to live an hour away, and I hated being that far away. Mm-hmm. I agree. There was a sweet spot, being just enough far away, but not.
How long does it take you to get to the studio?
Where they can say, "Hey, can you come in and unplug and replug this thing in for us?" That's no.
How long does it take you to get into the studio when you go there?
Pardon?
How long does it take you to get to the studio when you actually used to go there?
15 minutes, 20 minutes tops.
Yeah, that sounds lovely to me.
I love it.
I've always basically had the 5-minute commute, or 2-minute, 30-second. I don't really know. Do we count like bedroom to coffee to desk?
I have a trailer from the Google Village concept. This is just an example of what it will be like when you wake up in your stacked flat in Google Town, USA. Just peek out the window at the perfectly manicured lawns.
I thought it was going to be Pleasantville.
Now, are you too young to remember The Prisoner, Stacey?
I am too young to remember the
Oh,
Love
man.
it. It's amazing.
One of the greatest shows of all time.
Still makes no sense. But
It makes no sense. He's a secret agent who decides to get out. But it turns out when you leave the British Secret Service, you end up being sent to the village, which is full of kind of Stepford wife types, and you can't escape. Every time you do, a giant ball tracks you down and brings you back. Do you remember this, Ant?
No, I've never heard of this, but I need to watch it just for the hilarity.
I am a free man. I am not a number.
This is Black Mirror before there was Black Mirror.
Oh, it was the greatest. It was the greatest.
It was great.
Yeah.
When did it premiere? We were probably too young for the premiere.
1967.
Yeah, we didn't.
So I was
understand that
11.
age.
Yeah, I don't think I would have gotten it, but I definitely saw it soon after. I was probably middle school.
It was
high school.
British, so we didn't see it in the U.S. until
That's
it was
right.
on public radio.
It's probably on
TV.
public TV, yeah.
Yeah,
If
it
you've
was.
never seen Patrick McGoohan, who's great. And the funny part is, and I was a big fan of Secret Agent, which was the show prior to that, where he played a James Bond-style secret agent. And so there was a certain amount of inside joke when his next thing was The Prisoner, about a secret agent who leaves the Secret Service and is trapped in the village. I always loved Patrick McGoohan. I think he was one of my favorite actors back in the day.